Hey guys, I'm doing well today. It's my Super Rugby Dream Team for round 9 in New Zealand and round 6 in Australia. When deciding these teams, I based it off two things: one, their statistics, and two, their influence throughout the game. So, at number 1, I selected Cameron Orr from the Rebels. He was pretty impressive throughout the match. He had 5 runs, 24 run meters, 4 to 5 tackles, 2 defenders beaten, and 2 line breaks. So yeah, he was all over the place for sure. The Rebels were very impressive throughout the weekend. Getting a win over the Brumbies was pretty good. That was the first Brumbies loss of their campaign so far within Super Rugby AU. So for the Rebels to beat them, it's pretty impressive. And Cameron Orr was definitely a big part of that, especially within those scrums. So moving on to number 2, I selected Dan Coles from the Hurricanes. He was also another player who was very impressive. Against the Chiefs, that was, I'd say, more or less an easier win compared to the the Brumbies. But Dan Coles was pretty impressive. He had 1 try. He got 5 runs, 20 run meters, 7 out of 7 tackles, 2 defenders beaten, and he had 1 offload. So yeah, definitely all over the place. And he did his duty. He was pretty good within his lineouts as well. He threw the ball pretty well. Compared to usually within the first round of the competition, he wasn't the best really, to be honest. But he's definitely stepped up his in practice his lineout throws, and he was pretty successful during that game. So moving on to number 3, I selected Harry Johnson Holmes from the Waratahs. He was another player that throughout there's a lot of Waratahs players I selected this week. Especially after that huge win over the Reds, but. Harry Johnson Holmes, I just thought he was one of those players who really stood out within that match. He had 8 runs, 18 run meters, 4 out of 5 tackles. He had 1 turnover, 2 defenders beaten, and he had 1 line-out steal. So that's a 1 line-out steal is kind of odd, but he was definitely all over the place. And I think he was one of the few players to get subbed off early. Just because I think they scored 38 points in the first half. So. Yeah, he did his job definitely within that first half and definitely deserves to be within the stream team. So, moving on to number 4, another Waratahs player, Ned Hanigan. I was actually very impressed by him. He is moving to Japan. I forgot which side it is. I know he's going to the Japanese top league, but I forget which side it is. But man, he was very impressive for the Waratahs. He had 11 runs, 7 run meters, 6 out of 6 tackles. He had 2 turnovers, 1 offload. He won 8 lineouts and he had 2 lineout steals. So he was definitely pretty impressive in that area within the lineouts. And he was just all over the place really. He got some good ground for the Waratahs and definitely helped them move up the field and just score more tries throughout the match. So fair play to him. I was pretty impressed by him because normally I think this is probably his best game I've seen from him so far. So moving on to number 5, I selected Matt Phillips from the Rebels. He was another player who just impressed me throughout that Rebels game. He had 14 runs, 11 run meters, 4 to 7 tackles, 2 defenders beaten, and he won 3 lineouts. So essentially he just did his job. It's what you kind of expect as a lineout, from a lock. And I was pretty impressed by him. So moving on to number 6, I've selected Shannonzell from the Highlanders. He was one of the few players from the Highlanders who really stood out within that match against the Crusaders. He had 1 try, 11 runs, 51 run meters. He had 10 out of 10 tackles and he had 1 offload. So definitely all over the place and definitely helped those, the Highlanders get a lead within that first half because, they were definitely impressive within that first half for sure. They were leading 17 points to 13. So, he was definitely a massive influence within that. But, later on within the second half, the Crusaders just ran away with it. And, fair play to them. Fair play to him, really. He really stood out within that match. So, moving on to number 7, I've gone with Mitch Carpenter. That might be a bit of a surprise. I could have selected, other players such as, Michael Hooper or maybe Tom Sanders, and maybe Duplessis Creepy as well. But I have gone with Mitch Carpenter. He normally, I went with him purely on the basis that, when he came on for, Sam Kane, because he did get injured early on within that match. He did his job, and actually he did better than what I expect. He did get 1 try. He had 3 runs, 3 run meters, 8 out of 8 tackles, and he had 1 turnover. So those stats, to be honest, it's not it doesn't reflect on how he, the stats doesn't really reflect on how he influenced that game, but he did his job and definitely, was pretty impressive, to take over Sam Kane's, at the 7 role. He was pretty good. So, moving on to number 8, the last of the forward pack. I've selected Jack Dempsey from the Waratahs. He was another one of those Waratahs who just really stood out within that match. What I mean really, he really stood out. He had 2 try assists, 15 runs, 45 run meters, 1 tackle. He had 1 defender's beat in, and he had 1 offload. So, he was good. He was definitely good. And he even had a disallowed try. I think he had 2 disallowed tries, so, he was definitely all over the place, and he was, I'd arguably say, the most all-rounded player from that match for the Waratahs, and definitely helped them within that match. So, moving on to number 9, the backs. We're going to go with my MVP of the week, Jake Gordon. He was, what can you say? He did get 3 tries from that match against the Reds, and man, he had 3 tries, 7 runs, 49 run meters. He had 3 out of 4 tackles. He had 1 turnover, 2 defenders beaten, and he had 1 line break. So definitely all over the place. Something that I was very impressed by him. Within that first half, he got a hat trick within the first half. That doesn't really happen often, and I was very impressed by him, especially within that second try. When he had that line break, when they had the line out, he just ran the ball, got that line break, and just passed it to Will Harrison, and then Will Harrison passed it back to him. That was a very good try, and he definitely deserved to be within the side, and definitely deserves to be my MVP. Even his other try, he just quickly tapped the ball and just scored a try. It's kind of what you expect from a scrum half. Other commentators were saying it's like he can always. The scrum half's job is kind of to annoy the other team, and man, he definitely annoyed them, by scoring 3 tries. So, fair play to him. He definitely deserves to be my MVP of the week. So, moving on to number 10, I've selected Will Harrison, another Waratahs player, 3 in a row out there. They were just solid. I could have selected Richie Wonga from the Crusaders, but I went with Will Harrison more or less. He had 1 try assist, 2 runs, 30 run meters. He had 4 to 5 tackles. He kicked 5 conversions. He did 1 penalty. So, he was all over the place for sure, and he definitely deserves to be within the side. And, he was just, he really influenced that game by far. And, he has so much potential, and definitely, in my opinion, could be a future Wallaby. So, yes, definitely someone to look out for. So, moving on to number 11, I've selected George Bridge from the Crusaders. He kind of had his typical game, really. He's always a try-scoring machine. I think he's in the top 5, if I'm not correct with that, within the Crusaders' try-scoring list all time. And, he bagged 2 tries for himself within this match. He had 1 try assist as well. He had 9 runs, 46 run meters, 5 out of 5 tackles, 3 defenders beaten, 2 line breaks, and he had 1 offload. So, I was very impressed by him, and, he had his typical performance, and it's kind of what you want to see from him, because he's just one of those players who you can rely on within any game, and he'll give you like a 7 out of 10 performance every game, and he's proving it once again, and he's just showcasing why he should be still selected within an All Black setup. So, moving on to number 12, another Crusaders player, I went with Jack Goodhue. He was just all over the place, and even though he didn't pick up any tries or try assists, he influenced that game heavily. He had 9 runs, 30 run meters, 13 out of 16 tackles, 3 defenders beaten, and 1 line break. So he was definitely all over the place for a start. 13 out of 16 tackles, he put in the shift defensively. And he was definitely one of those key players in that, second half, especially when Tompkinson came off. He was just a battering ram, essentially. And with that, they were able to use Brennan Enor and Will Jordan and score more tries. So he definitely did his job, and I would say, I'm not going to say he was underrated, because he put in a good shift, if I had to say so myself, but it's just kind of what you expect of him, and he definitely was starting All Black center for sure, and maybe he can, he's definitely the All Blacks center. He should be definitely the starting All Black center. So, moving on to number 13, maybe an All Black center for the future. We have Peter Amanga Johnson. He was very impressive again for I think he's been in 2 Dream Team. He's been in 2 my Dream Teams so far, including this one. And he was very impressive. He had 2 tries, 9 runs, 24 run meters, 5 out of 5 tackles, 1 turnover, 1 defender beaten, and he had 1 line break. So yeah, definitely all over the place, and he definitely influenced that game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs were just very unlucky to not win that game. They did crawl their way back in. I think they were a try off, but then the Hurricanes just really they ran away with it, and yeah, the Hurricanes definitely deserved to win that game, and they got that bonus point in the end, which in going into the last round could help a lot, because now they could I think they are level points with the Blues, or they're 1 point behind the Blues. I think that what it is. So yeah, if they beat the Highlanders next week and the Blues lose to the Crusaders, then yeah, they could come second, and yeah, Peter Munga-Judson definitely had a great game, and he definitely influenced that game for sure. So, moving on to number 14. This might be a surprise, but I think he definitely, deserves to be within this dream team. I'm calling him Josh McKay from the Highlanders. He had 7 runs, 35 run meters, 3 to 4 tackles. He had 1 defender beaten, and he had 1 offload. But yeah, first of all, let's just talk about that try-saving tackle, against Bryn Hall. It was insane. I think he had 2 try-saving tackles, but the one against Bryn Hall was one of the best try-saving tackles I've seen in the last 5 years. I'm going to say so myself. I mean, Crusaders they just did their typical counter attack, and just they passed the ball perfectly. I just thought Bryn Hall was straight through, just going to put the ball down and then safely just come back. I think if they scored that try, then they would have gone ahead of the Highlanders within that first half. But man, Josh McKay, he definitely put up a good shift for the Highlanders, and not even defensively as well. He was pretty good within the attack. He did catch a few balls up in the air. He definitely has he's a big future, and I definitely think he's one to watch out for the Highlanders within the next competition they play in. And yeah, fair play to him. He was good. But yeah, moving on to the last player of this dream team, I've selected Reece Hodge from the Rebels. He was another one of those players from the Rebels who just took it by storm really against the Brumbies. He had 2 tries, he got 9 runs, 28 run meters, 1-on-1 tackle, which doesn't really inflict on what he really did. He had 1 defender beaten as well, and he had 1 line break. So yeah, he was definitely all over the place, and he was just proving once again that he can score tries. Definitely deserves to be within that Australian setup still. He's so reliable, if I say so myself. I mean, he definitely can kick a ball, and that's something that Australia will definitely need within their international fixtures. And yeah, he's the man for that job. And definitely, it's interesting because they have Jack Maddox and they have Reece Hodge. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe they'll put Jack Maddox within. The thing is that with Jack Maddox and Reece Hodge, they can play either 11, 14, or 15, but Reece Hodge, in my opinion, I think he's suited more to the 15 role than Jack Maddox. And I think Jack Maddox is more 14. That's just my opinion, but yeah. No, Reece Hodge definitely had a great game, and definitely helped the Rebels get that win over the Brumbies, which was needed, because now they're ahead of the Reds, and yeah, it's all to play for really. With the Warthogs beating the Reds. Yeah, this will be a closer competition for sure, definitely, and yeah, it'll be great to see what happens. I did predict the Reds in getting second, but yeah, I could be wrong with that, and the Rebels and Warthogs could battle it out. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's it with the Dream Team. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.